A spell is a visualization and recitation that focuses the mind on a specific task and channels mana to carry it out. A spell is made of symbols which have both a form and a name. The beginning spellcaster learns to pronounce the name as the symbol is seen in the mind. Each symbol must be recited in the proper order to produce the intended effect. However, magic is not commanded easily. Even with sufficient mana and proper recitation, a spell may fizzle if the spellcaster lacks the experience to cast it. To gain experience, the spellcaster should first master the simpler spells before attempting those more difficult. The symbols of magic are divided into the 4 known influences of power, element, form, and alignment. It is said that other influences were once known, but only these 4 remember today. Each influence is controlled by the 6 symbols, which represent the 6 basic orders of all things. The 6 orders can also be visualized as combining the 4 orders of the material plane with the 2 orders of the ethereal realm. Each order of each influence is represented by a specific spell sound and symbol. Lest you be too quick to overstep your abilities, know that each symbol recited draws from and depletes the store of mana carried in your body. The amount of mana required depends upon the syllables that make up the spell. The 6 orders of each influence require differing amounts of mana to invoke. For the influence of power, the weakest order is the syllable Lo, and the most powerful is Mon. Thus, Lo requires the least mana to cast, and Mon the most. In time, your body restores mana expended in casting a spell by drawing new mana from the world around you. As you gain experience in your craft, your body will learn to store more and more mana. With patience and practice, a skilled user can command enough mana to attempt the most powerful spells. All spells commence with the Invocation of Power. The influence of power determines the strength of a spell. Choosing a higher power symbol increases the power of the final spell, but also increases the amount of mana required to invoke other symbols. After power, the influence of element is called upon to give substance to the spell. Element determines the fundamental effect of the spell. Many useful spells require only power and element. The magic torch spell, usually an apprentice's first, invokes first power and then calls upon the element full to bring light from fire. As the novice gains experience with this spell, he can attempt higher and higher power symbols, giving greater and more steady illumination. Adding the influence of form to a spell channels the spell into a specific direction. The invocation of the form Kath, as an example, imparts explosive force to the selected element. Form is not required for all spells, but its influence greatly increases the versatility of a spell. The influence of alignment connects nature with the world of man, his professions, and his concepts of good and evil. Thus, these influences are less predictable and require a great deal of mana to control. The novice would be well advised to leave this influence to the master, and the master would be well advised to avoid this influence whenever possible. As with all skills, only practice will guide the practitioner to higher levels of proficiency, and only caution will spare him from foolish mistakes. The power symbols are the starting point for all spells. When the other symbols give substance to spells, these symbols impart strength. Starting from the weakest symbol, Lo, up to the most powerful, Mon. The spellcaster may control the power of a spell to suit the situation. Each step on the scale is equal, so the additional mana needed for a specific spell of the next level should always be the same. The shrieking pattern of Lo elicits an effect opposite to Mon by drawing power away from the other syllables in the spell. The resulting spell is weaker, but easier for the neophyte magic user to control. Controls and direct the forces of stupidity and lethargy. Its weakening effect on other syllables is less drastic than Lo. So spells of this power require more experience to cast safely. The effect of the syllable On is that of equality. The natural strength of the other syllables in the spell determines the power of the finished incantation. A subtle opposite to the tilted square appears balanced on a point, poised for movement in any direction. Dull corners have become the sharp points of the syllable E. speed, and intelligence are the forces that combine to make spells of the symbol more powerful and costly than normal. The basis for the symbol power is still being debated by scholars, but the effect of the spell syllable is much better known. Its ability to increase the power of a spell is second only to Mon. Tapping the strength that builds mountains is the greatest of the power symbols. Mon, only a well-practiced magic user can control spells of this size and power. The Queen of Venom, the Black Widow Spider, brandishes a single spot of color on her otherwise jet-black form. Hourglass-shaped, she seems to warn the time will soon run out for the unfortunate soul she bites. In the symbology of magic, the hourglass represents the syllable Ven, which encompasses and conducts all things poisonous. Ooh, depicts the head and arm of a beast. This syllable is used to fashion the elemental component into the form of a creature. Though the conjuration of the elementals is only still a theoretical possibility, the syllable is still useful to sculpt a spell to affect only the monsters targeted. The expanding lines of the syllable Kath categorize the shock waves emanating from a single source. This follows, for the syllable Kath imparts explosive force to spells which already involve energetic elements such as light or air. Air abstracts the arc of a wing and appropriately imparts the ability to float or fly to cast a spell. By giving motion to the completed incantation, the spell can be sent traveling through the air. The reciprocal arms of the symbol Bro represents the mutual support and honesty of true friendship. However, recent usage of this construct has drawn upon its power for the creation of beneficial potions. Constructed from components of fire, lightning, and the spear, the jagged line of the symbol Gore combines to invoke the attributes of an enemy. Like its opposite, Bro, recent usage has broadened the power of Gore to the creation